Clint Eastwood has a brand new movie in only 50 theaters in the United States this weekend. Why? I was lucky enough to be in the area of one this weekend, but I'm bummed out this didn't get a bigger release because Juror number 2 is an intense movie. Let's talk about it.
I checked, I didn't see anything, and I figured it was a deer that ran off.
So family man Justin Kemp, who, while serving in a juror in a high-profile murder trial, finds himself struggling with a serious moral dilemma, one he could use to sway the jury verdict and potentially convict or free the wrong killer. This is written by Jonathan Abrams, directed by Clint Eastwood, and it's PG-13 for violent images and strong language, but it's not the craziest PG-13 movie I've ever seen. It's definitely one that is geared towards adults. A legal drama, a legal thriller, if you will, that is directed by Clint Eastwood. And Clint Eastwood, man, he's directed some really good, often solid movies. Now, lately, I've been a little disappointed in a few of his outings over the last 10 years or so, but there have still been some bangers in there, such as Richard Jewell, which I thought was pretty good. Also, the cast is stacked. J.K. Simmons, Toni Collette. Simmons plays one of the jury members. Toni Collette plays one of the lawyers who is kind of going up against what we know as the truth, because we know the guy that's on trial, he didn't do it. How do we know that? Nicholas Hoult's character knows that. And this movie is pitched as it's a guy who understands this person isn't guilty because he knows that he's guilty. That's not a spoiler. I believe it's in every piece of marketing. And Nicholas Hoult plays Justin Kemp, a family man who has a lot to lose, but at the same time, he wants to do the right thing. Doesn't really want to turn himself in, because who would, but he also doesn't want to convict a man that he, and he is the only one, knows isn't guilty. Now, everything about this guy screams guilty because people were there that night. They saw the arguments and they saw some things that would lead you to believe that he had something to do with it. But Nicholas Hoult's character is sitting there going, I know the truth, but I'm not going to say anything because jail's not fun.
Correct!
And that's not where the mystery of the movie lies, because that's how it's marketed. What's mysterious is how they're going to go about this, how he's going to sway the jurors, because obviously not everyone's going to agree at first, even though a lot of them are like, yeah, convict him, he's guilty. But you know, and he knows that morally, there has to be more of a discussion there, because even though the guy looks guilty, looks can be deceiving, and it's only fair to go about this process in more of a normal way. Now, J.K. Simmons did awesome as a jury member. I do wish we would have had a little bit more of him, because at a point in the movie, he just becomes way more of a background character, if you will. And then I do wish we would have gotten a little more from Toni Collette's performance. Now, there is something about her that is interesting, and as you go about the movie, she becomes more interesting, but I didn't feel the full gravitas of the main impact of her character by the end, because I did want to know a little more about her. That being said, we are focused on Nicholas Hoult and Zoe Deutsch, who plays his wife. She does an awesome job, but it is really a beautiful character study, and kind of an old-fashioned character study. I don't like to use the word old-fashioned when I'm thinking of like 90s movies, but that's what this feels like, right? A legal drama, a legal thriller for adults, one that doesn't go about it in a super artistic way, but everything here is rock solid. Like the direction from Eastwood. If this is his last movie, man, you're going out in the best way. Now, I do think it's going to be his last movie at Warner Brothers, because they're not releasing this, although they did recently say they're going to mount a small awards campaign, and I could see something for Hoult. It's not the strongest category this year. I don't think he gives an Oscar-worthy performance, but I could see him slipping in if nothing else becomes super prominent. That being said, I don't know if this is a Best Picture movie, because everything is fairly simple, fairly to the point, but that's also what makes it so riveting in a way, because this kind of drama and these kind of interactions, they are real. I think of one of the greatest movies of all time, 12 Angry Men, and this is very different, but people sitting around trying to decide whether someone's guilty or innocent, that is fascinating, or can be if handled in the right way, and that is a lot of what this movie is. Now, Some of it is the dilemma that Justin is facing. Other moments have to do with some of the lawyers interacting, what's going on outside of this court case, and even doing some things that you're not really supposed to be doing, like going out and saying, hey, was it him? Or was there somebody else involved here? Something that had to do with it. And that was elegant in the way that it was presented. But really, you're in the room with these individuals and you're just trying to back Hoult's character because he is doing a nice job of conveying why he believes this guy isn't innocent. But some people, they're not reciprocating. Some people are not hearing him out because honestly, when you get selected to a jury like this, sometimes you just want to go home.
I gotta get out of here! Too late!
Now, morally, I see that, and I'm like, that's kind of disgusting behavior. Like, Hoult's character has every reason to go back home because his wife is pregnant. Obviously, he has a lot more to do with it, but no, he wants to stay and at least try to sway everyone else to why this guy isn't guilty without pointing out who actually did it. So it's a tough sell because you don't want to prove yourself guilty, yet you don't want this other guy to suffer for your crimes. And that is an awesome dilemma. It's a terrible dilemma, but it's an awesome dilemma to watch on screen. And Eastwood, again, as a director, I mean, there is, in its own way, a blandness to some moments in this movie because they are presented in such an obvious way, and the cinematography is good, not great. The shot selection's good, not great. Nothing about it screams, oh, this is the best looking or feeling thing I've seen all year. But everything about it is so rock solid. Like, I can't find one element that is a huge fault or a huge reason why I wouldn't recommend this to literally anyone that I know. And that makes for a really good to great movie. Like, that is genuinely the formula you want for a film like this. And you want to feel that that character study is conveying the proper emotions. I felt that. I felt an impact in the significance of the way this story builds and the intensity on top of that. And then the way this movie ends, it leaves you kind of asking some questions. Again, people are going to wonder, well, why did they spoil the fact that he knows that he was involved? That's not the big reveal or not the big series of mysteries in this movie. It's more so how they handle it and what happens from there. And as this movie progressed, I was getting more into it like, oh, we're going to end off on an interesting note, and we do. And that's super satisfying with a movie like Juror Number 2. And to see all of those things come together so beautifully, I'm like, this has to be Eastwood's best movie in a while. It's not his best ever, for sure. But again, if this is his last movie and the guy deserves to take a break, if this is it, he went out on top. Look, I understand not a lot of people are seeing it this weekend, but I want to know, what are your thoughts on Juror Number 2? Are you excited about this? Does the premise get you interested? And are you pumped to see some good performances like a Nicholas Hoult, who again is great in this movie? He kind of carries it on his shoulders at times, even though all of the other elements work. Also, I'm debating, should I drive to see Anora later today and review it? If I get enough thumbs up on this video, I will do that, bring you guys a review tomorrow. Juror Number 2 is the best Eastwood film in years. It's a quiet character study that proves to be effective through some surprisingly thought-provoking dialogue and one excellent lead performance. Hoult delivers, Abrams' script has just enough to keep you engaged, and the familiarity of the genre never gets in the way. The complexities of the case and the dynamic of the jury have enough juice to overcome some of the more bland filmmaking elements of this film. Again, they're definitely in there, but the rest of the movie and the entirety of the experience I enjoyed. If you're sick of these familiar, straightforward court case movies, or you're not a fan of character studies that don't do anything extra, then you may not love this because you have seen it before. But it's just really good all the way through. And I love a movie that does that. Also, it's kind of a dad movie. It's kind of a movie that's going to play 1,000 times on television when it drops in a couple years. Like, it's a TNT film through and through. But sometimes I love those. Like, I really do. Those are some of the best. So thank you so much for watching this review. Are you seeing Juror Number 2? That rhymes.